Commander Holy Ghost, a key figure in the Biafran Liberation Army, was allegedly betrayed and killed by insiders, not by external enemies like Musa boys or Asari boys, as initially assumed. There are strong claims that his death was orchestrated by fellow Biafran fighters, household enemies, who saw him as a threat or obstacle within the liberation movement. Tensions within the Biafran movement are high, with deep internal divisions and suspicion, especially between different camps, including those loyal to Simon Ekpa, Ada Orama, and other commanders. Critics accused Commander Holy Ghost of deceiving Biafrans, allegedly collecting funds while staying safely at home with his family, instead of actively fighting on the ground. Commander Holy Ghost's critics also mocked him for claiming Nigerian forces were trooping in without physically taking action to stop them, suggesting he was more of a social media figure than a real ground commander. There were previous public broadcasts warning about enemies at the gate, which now seem prophetic in light of Holy Ghost's betrayal by those close to him. The video implies that Ada Orama, a controversial female figure in the Biafra media space, might have played a role in setting Commander Holy Ghost up, or at least publicly contributed to his targeting. The fall of Commander Holy Ghost is being used as a cautionary tale to warn other Biafran commanders, like Commander Gentle, to be vigilant and protect themselves from betrayal within. Despite all criticisms, many still acknowledge Commander Holy Ghost's spiritual dedication to the Biafran cause and offers condolences, saying he may now fight for Biafra in the spiritual realm and revealing a broader crisis of trust and leadership within the Biafran struggle, where accusations of fraud, betrayal and infighting threaten the unity and effectiveness of the Biafra liberation movement. The story of Commander Holy Ghost is one soaked in both admiration and deep sorrow, painted with the complex brushstrokes of heroism, betrayal, spiritual dedication, and the unraveling of trust in a movement meant to inspire freedom. It is not just a story of a man, it is a reflection of an entire struggle, a haunting lesson echoing through the ranks of the Biafran Liberation Army, a warning to those still breathing on the front lines, and a sobering reminder of how internal rot can quietly devour the most committed movements from within. Commander Holy Ghost, whose real name is still shrouded in mystery for security reasons, was widely known across social media platforms and within the Biafran Liberation Army as a passionate and spiritual voice for the fight for Biafra. His followers revered him for his bold declarations, his firm belief in divine intervention, and his constant warnings about the impending dangers facing the Biafran people. From the tone of his broadcasts to the symbolism in his name, he stood out not just as a fighter, but as someone who sought to connect the earthly mission for liberation with spiritual warfare. In a movement that often draws strength from spiritual conviction and prophetic messages, Commander Holy Ghost's rise was swift and dramatic. However, behind the scenes, tensions were brewing. The very traits that earned him admiration also drew criticism and suspicion. His perceived distance from the physical battlefield, despite his vocal presence in the online space, became a subject of heated debate. Detractors, some of whom were also within the Biafran movement, questioned whether Commander Holy Ghost was truly committed to the physical struggle or simply capitalizing on the emotional and financial investments of Biafran supporters. These criticisms reached their peak when allegations surfaced that he had been collecting funds while safely residing at home with his family. These accusations were not new in the Biafran movement. Throughout its history, various leaders and figures have been accused of using the liberation cause for personal gain. What made the case of Commander Holy Ghost so impactful was how rapidly the tides turned against him. People who once sang his praises and shared his videos began to ridicule him, They mocked his repeated warnings about Nigerian military forces trooping in, suggesting that while he raised alarm, he did not take any visible steps to repel them physically. This criticism, whether justified or exaggerated, began to chip away at his image as a ground commander and repositioned him, in the eyes of some, as merely a social media preacher. Still, his core supporters believed in him. They saw him not just as a commander in the traditional military sense, but as a spiritual sentinel watching over the Biafran cause. They believed his voice had divine significance and that his role was more prophetic than combative. But even these loyal followers could not protect him from what was to come. When news broke that Commander Holy Ghost had been killed, many initially assumed that it was the usual enemies, Nigerian military forces, the notorious Musa boys, or even the Asari boys who had long been in conflict with the Biafran forces. But as more information emerged, a darker and more disturbing picture began to form. According to several credible voices within the movement, Commander Holy Ghost did not fall at the hands of external enemies. He was not taken down by a Nigerian bullet, nor ambushed by Fulani herdsmen. Instead, he was allegedly betrayed and killed by his own people, those who shared the same vision, at least on paper, and those he would have called comrades in the sacred mission of Biafran liberation. These were not strangers or outsiders. They were household names within the struggle, individuals who dined with him, strategized with him, and possibly even prayed with him. This revelation sent shockwaves across the Biafran community. The pain of his death was multiplied by the feeling of betrayal. Many found it hard to digest that someone who had dedicated so much of his voice and energy to Biafra could be killed by insiders. The Biafran struggle has always been dangerous, with Nigerian security forces viewing the movement as a serious national threat. Activists, commanders, and even ordinary supporters have been arrested, tortured, and sometimes killed. But the idea that the danger could come from within, that brothers could kill brothers, struck at the core of the movement's morale. Theories began to swirl like dust in the harmattan. Some pointed fingers directly at those who had previously accused Commander Holy Ghost of deceit. There were whispers of jealousy, of factional rivalry, and of deep-seated distrust that had been quietly growing within the Biafran movement for months. Central to these discussions was the role of Ada Orama, a woman who has been a controversial figure in Biafran circles for some time. Ada Orama commands a significant following online and has been very outspoken in her criticisms of certain Biafran leaders. Her influence is undeniable, and her words have often stirred public sentiment in powerful ways. It was alleged by some sources that Ada Orama's public condemnations of Commander Holy Ghost may have contributed to the rising hostilities against him. Whether she played a direct role in his betrayal or not remains a matter of debate. However, it is clear that her stance against him helped paint a target on his back. In an environment already poisoned with suspicion, her words acted as fuel to the fire. Some believe that she might have even knowingly or unknowingly aided those who were plotting against him by setting the narrative that he was a fraud, a liability, or an obstacle. What hurts the most for many supporters is that Commander Holy Ghost himself had warned about betrayal. In one of his broadcasts, he spoke about enemies at the gate, a phrase that at the time was interpreted as referring to Nigerian military infiltration or enemy soldiers closing in on Biafran strongholds. But with hindsight, these words seem prophetic. He may have sensed that his true enemies were not coming from outside, but were already inside the gate, eating from the same pot, carrying the same flag, and chanting the same liberation slogans. This adds a chilling element to his final days. Perhaps he knew, perhaps he felt it in his spirit, that the very people he was trusting were sharpening knives behind his back. His death has triggered a wave of emotional reactions across the Biafran landscape. Some are mourning deeply, unable to process the thought that such a revered figure could be taken down by supposed allies. Others, who had doubted his authenticity, are using his fall as a cautionary tale against deception. But regardless of where one stands, there is a growing consensus that the internal divisions within the Biafran Liberation Army and the wider movement are reaching dangerous levels. One of the most vocal responses has come from the camp of Commander Gentle, another prominent figure in the Biafran struggle. Commander Gentle is known for his fierce operations in conflict zones and his low tolerance for betrayal. In the wake of Commander Holy Ghost's death, several voices have publicly warned Commander Gentle to be vigilant. They have urged him not to trust too easily, to protect himself from those who may wear the same uniform but harbor dangerous envy. The warning is not just out of concern, but out of recognition that what happened to Commander Holy Ghost could happen again. The fallout of this betrayal goes beyond the death of one man. It has opened a can of worms in the Biafran movement. Allegations of fund mismanagement, fake commanders, social media fraudsters, and fake news dissemination have resurfaced with intensity. More than ever, the public is asking, who is real and who is pretending? Who is on the ground and who is broadcasting from safe homes in Europe and America? Who is genuinely fighting for freedom and who is feeding on the passion of the people for personal profit? In times past, external enemies were easy to identify. Nigerian soldiers in uniform, political agents, Fulani herders with weapons. These were threats the Biafran movement could point to and unite against. But now, with the realization that trusted comrades may be plotting behind closed doors, the very fabric of unity is threatened. Suspicion has crept into nearly every camp. The fear is not just of being killed by the enemy, but of being sold out by a friend. Amidst all the chaos, there are still voices calling for calm and introspection. Some elders in the movement have reminded the youth that every liberation struggle in history has gone through such dark phases. From the struggles in South Africa to the civil rights movements in the United States, internal betrayal has always been one of the hardest battles to fight. They urge the Biafran movement not to collapse under the weight of suspicion, but to rebuild trust with accountability and truth. Commander Holy Ghost's story, for all its tragedy, may serve as a turning point. His life and death are now being studied, not just for what went wrong, but for what can be learned. Some are calling for an internal purification of the movement. They want every commander and activist to be verified. They want every claim of battlefield participation to be investigated. The goal, they say, is not to humiliate anyone but to restore integrity. At memorial vigils held in various towns across southeastern Nigeria and in Biafran diaspora communities abroad, candles have been lit for Commander Holy Ghost. Prayers have been said for his soul, and songs of liberation have been sung in his honor. Many believe that even in death he will continue to fight, not with weapons, but as a spiritual force protecting the land of Biafra. His supporters argue that his connection to the spiritual realm was always his greatest strength, and that now, free from the limitations of the flesh, he can operate in ways that no soldier on earth can. They see him as a martyr, a fallen hero whose blood will water the seeds of future victory. Others remain skeptical, still unsure of the true circumstances surrounding his actions and his death. But in either case he has left a mark, one that cannot be ignored. As the dust settles and the movement tries to regain its footing, many are reflecting on the meaning of loyalty, the weight of leadership, and the dangers of unchecked power. Commander Holy Ghost's life was a mix of spiritual fire, political rhetoric, and emotional appeals. His death is now a mix of pain, confusion, and unresolved questions. But above all, it is a reminder that every movement must cleanse itself from time to time, not just from external threats, but from internal poison. The tragic end of Commander Holy Ghost, therefore, is not just an obituary. It is a story still being written in the hearts of thousands who believed in him, in the eyes of those who doubted him, and in the minds of those now asking themselves who they can trust. Whether in life or in death, he has become a symbol of what Biafra is, of what it can become, and of what it must avoid to truly be free. As the days passed following the tragic death of Commander Holy Ghost, more voices began to speak out, some in mourning, others in cautious observation, and still others in silence, watching from a distance, unsure of what to say or who to believe. The weight of his death lingered like a thick cloud over the Biafran Liberation Army, over online forums, over group chats and community discussions in Biafran towns and abroad. The deeper implications of this event could no longer be brushed aside, and the layers of betrayal, division, and unresolved tensions within the Biafran movement were beginning to reveal themselves more clearly with each passing moment. In several Biafran-controlled territories and towns sympathetic to the cause, including places like Ihiala, Newi, and Orlu, people gathered to remember him. Some wept openly, others stood quietly with tears rolling down their cheeks, holding nothing but candles and photos of Commander Holy Ghost printed from social media screenshots. These moments were heavy and deeply emotional, not just because of who he was, but because of what his death represented. To many, it felt like a dream was breaking apart in real time. For years, the Biafran movement had been held together by strong emotions, shared pain, and a collective vision of freedom. Now, with this betrayal, a hole had been punched in the middle of that dream. Young men and women, some of whom had joined the movement because of Commander Holy Ghost's powerful sermons and messages online, now looked lost and betrayed. There were whispers among them that if such a man could be set up and taken out by his own comrades, then no one was safe. These were not just casual followers, but young people who had walked away from school, jobs, and family to commit themselves to the liberation of their homeland. Their pain was not just over one man's death. It was a fear that everything they believed in might be crumbling from the inside. As tensions deepened, a growing demand began to emerge across pro-Biafran networks and communities. A full investigation into the events surrounding the killing of Commander Holy Ghost. This call was not merely symbolic. It came with serious demands for transparency from every commander and sub-leader in the Biafran Liberation Army. People wanted names. They wanted recordings. They wanted voice notes, screenshots, phone call logs, anything that would prove who said what and who planned what. What began as a call for justice for one man turned into a broader cry for truth and cleansing within the entire Biafran struggle. A few days after his death, a video surfaced showing a teary-eyed mother in Ebonyi State holding a framed printout of Commander Holy Ghost's face. Her son had followed him online for over a year and recently left home to join the movement in an undisclosed camp. She believed that her son had found spiritual direction through him. Now, with his death, the mother was not just afraid for her son's physical safety, but also for his emotional and spiritual state. She begged anyone who still believed in Biafra to protect the rest of the commanders and to avoid letting envy and infighting destroy what so many had sacrificed to build. Meanwhile, another set of videos began to emerge online from former associates of Commander Holy Ghost, videos that only added more confusion. Some of them claimed they had seen signs weeks before his death. One individual, whose identity was disguised for security, said that Commander Holy Ghost had been asking too many sensitive questions and was growing increasingly skeptical of certain money channels within the movement. According to him, Commander Holy Ghost began questioning how funds collected from the public were being used, and whether some senior figures were secretly collaborating with enemies for personal gain. This claim, though not fully verified, struck a nerve with many Biafrans. It revived long-standing fears that some leaders were using the cause as a cover for financial exploitation. Commander Holy Ghost may have been walking a dangerous path simply by demanding transparency, by asking questions that others refused to ask, or by refusing to join certain factions that allegedly controlled access to international donations. And if that was the case, then his death was not just a tragedy, it was a warning to others who might dare to expose uncomfortable truths. What added to the complexity was the rise of fresh suspicion between the three dominant factions within the movement. The camp loyal to Simon Nyoku Ekpa, the one loyal to Ada Orama, and the one built around commanders who considered themselves more militant than political. Each of these camps operated with a different tone, different style, and different interpretation of what the Biafran liberation effort should look like. The death of Commander Holy Ghost threatened to unravel these fragile alliances. In Finland, Simon Nyoku Ekpa remained silent for several days after the news broke. His silence was interpreted in many ways. Some said he was trying to process the situation and verify details before making any statement. Others accused him of being complicit, simply because he had refused to condemn the incident swiftly. When he finally did speak, Simon Nyoku Ekpa offered a carefully measured statement, expressing sorrow over the loss and condemning any form of betrayal, whether from within or without. But he stopped short of naming names, which infuriated some of Commander Holy Ghost's supporters who were hoping for a firmer and more direct response. Ada Orama, whose name had been repeatedly dragged into the conversation, released her own video as well. In it, she denied ever plotting against Commander Holy Ghost, but acknowledged that she had openly criticized him in the past. According to her, her criticisms were based on transparency, not hatred. She claimed that as someone with a platform, she had the right to question anyone claiming leadership in the movement, especially if donations were involved. Her voice cracked with emotion as she expressed shock at the killing, but many viewers remained unconvinced. The tension between her supporters and those of the fallen commander only deepened. Some commanders close to Commander Gentle began releasing short audio clips, warning others to be careful about who they speak to and where they spend the night. One voice message from a trusted field officer was particularly chilling. In the message, he stated that, "The enemy now speaks our dialect, wears our clothes, eats our food, and prays our prayers." He warned that the next wave of killings might not come from soldiers in uniform, but from those sitting at the same table as the victims. This fear was not just paranoia. Several internal leaks began to surface, showing that some camps had been spying on each other for months. Phone conversations, internal screenshots, and even drone footage were allegedly being used by one faction to monitor the movements of another. The line between friend and foe was becoming almost invisible. Yet, in all this darkness, there were moments of light. In Aba, a young group of Biafran youth organized a peace march, not just in honor of Commander Holy Ghost, but as a plea for unity. They carried banners that read, "No more brothers' blood," and chanted slogans calling for justice and reconciliation. Their message was simple: if Biafrans kept killing each other, there would be no Biafra left to fight for.
Even with your children inside bush, Holy Ghost, every time when they talk, will they hear your children background? Let me ask you another question. Make I ask you this question again. Holy Ghost, are you in the bush with your children? Why are you deceiving Biafra? How can Holy Ghost say that Nigerian government, the Nigerian military is trooping in? This man come and sit here, call himself a general army. I don't know whether a general, I don't know whether a commander, I don't know what he be, and I don't care to know. That is the problem. I don't even care to know who this man called Holy Ghost is. The only thing that I know is a blogger in social media. And I face him as a blogger, social media blogger.
In this her program, you will grab and you will agree with me that Commander Holy Ghost has been on the blacklist for a very long time. They have been plotting on how to eliminate him, on how to deal with him, on how to destroy him. And finally, I think they got him.
Hold on, I beg for those of you who don't now be in my comment section. Now ka Commander Holy Ghost or Kadendo Kongo and the Commander Gentle Kodendo Kongo. It's alright. Can reply only this way. Commander Holy Ghost. Commander Holy Ghost. I gotta go overboard. Ongo. As of 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, the guy that they feel me with so many top men. We know all these things. Gentle Kadendo. They feel me. So we know all their plans. They feel me. And we know people that's behind it. They feel me. So Anya with the watch. You get it.
Now the rubbishness non Holy Ghost happened. No one Holy Ghost to go see Biafra. Nkemu tokana do. Even see Holy Ghost non we pataka ye Georgia. Amusna can ne chegodo until ko hit okay. Now you can talk. Now go up the program. Oh now Holy Ghost. Holy Ghost. Jeff Tembolembanke. Adabunkie. Yambe jigwago kumbremba. Akombremba kiji kwoku. Ina anya nkem ka nke gini ibu. Ọkakwa mwa na ije bute nke bulu okpokpo maka na mmụọ aya anụ nke mmụọ nnụnụ kara anụ ka o ji eme ife ọnwụ na nke ga-akụsị ike mmụọ agha ya nọ ya mmụọ ya anụ ya mmụọ ba nna gị aya anụ ya aja na be nna gị aya anụ ya mmụọ ndị mbụ na ndị egere be nna gị aya anụ ya vanụ nke ada ịma na aya anụ ya nke adakụọ aja na be nna gị ya anụ ya mmụọ be nna gị ya anụ ya ndị chi ebe nna gị ya anụ ya ndị mbụ na ndị egere be nna gị ya anụ ya mmụọ niile ndị bụrụ ji ide ebube ya anụ ya ha ejeze for justice n'anya ka ngwa gị ọhụrụ nwoke niile kwuo amụ nwoke ị na-asụ oyibo mana m nwa ya eji oyibo were gwago okwu ife meji wee gwago okwu asụsụ ndị mbụ na ndị egede eyi because no ọbara ụmụ Igbo ka a na-akwafusi adị akwafu nke bụ ụnụ ọbọ n'ihu amamibe mma akpọ gị akpọ. I don't know what I will tell you. I don't know what I will call you. Man, if I want to know if you can respect you na that they say or give you. And don't even you can make you go this morning because now the bias no na only make it as a bachari yaji. Holy Ghost. I don't think na ndegere abachari je kondo ucho ibeginini call sorry akpalawa your brother. Kangu no this is scam. Ono na scam Biafra by the name of stupid revelation. Unu neme is enough is enough for this madness. Agwa ngana ya agwa go okwu ontre no mboso mo gwago okwu. And this morning onugo mgbe mma gwa gị ya okwu and ihe eji nteke were nụ ya maka na mgbe unu ya aba n'ala Igbo iliberate ụmụ Igbo ibe anyị na-asụ n'ala Igbo ka anyị na-asụ and the Holy Ghost as isi iwe general ihe na-anụ ya asụsụ ndị mbụ na ndị ekede eji m ọfụ Igbo niile wee na-agwa gị okwu today I can want to get enough for you and anytime I say it in a private message so put on social media. He send the like so get out from social media. But if I see you in social media again, a man give an amended on a social media. And the mekonami an amended on a social media. Holy Ghost, since they declared to Biafra, isn't he a general on the army? I never see any action. I never see anything. Nothing they happen. The only action I they see every day is Nigerian useless terrorists coming into our land. Ne bucha say na bu na yoku. Ne mi ibe kwesi ime. Holy Ghost, you just to sit in your compound with your family. You know there for bush, oh. Holy Ghost, you know there for bush, oh. You quietly in your house with your family, with your children. So now they send you Biafra money. The money where we they contribute, they chop with your family. They find they go. They pump they go. I know how you did before. The time where you never remove your this thing. Because the day that you take off your this thing, I know that something is wrong somewhere. It's a very big message. Now you send for us. The day you remove, you said that you will take off your this thing, immediately Biafra declared. You know even wait to make it Biafra declared because your brother have told you that nothing like Biafra. Your brother have told you that if you are waiting to make Biafra declared, that Biafra no go come. That declaration of Biafra no go come. That is why you take off your this thing. Come out and tell us that he said that you will take your this thing off when Biafra immediately Biafra declare, but he no go wait again. Are you talking to children? Amanda, this man, you know that people that you are doing something with is Igbo people. You're on your house. Because we are seeing your children every time where they talk, background, we hear children voice. Are you living with your children inside bush? Holy Ghost. Every time where they talk, we they hear your children background. Let me ask you another question. Make I ask you this question again. Holy Ghost. Are you in the bush with your children? Why are you deceiving Biafra? Why are you deceiving us? That is why my issue of money come out. You run out because it's the only way. It's the only way that you make. It's the only way you get your own money. Let me stop here. I give on another thing. Let us go to your program.
So it has not been easy for Commander Holy Ghost because the same thing is still going on with other commanders, especially Commander Gentle the Yahoo. But I think Commander Gentle the Yahoo is a wise guy. He's very wise. So he knows how he's guiding himself. He knows how he is surrounding himself with people. He knows how he is protecting himself because the people around you, there can be spy among them. Like they will always say, out of 12, there must be a Judas. From the status of Magnetic Jigs TV, we send our condolences to the family of Commander Holy Ghost. Rest in peace, a great commander indeed. Go and fight for Biafra in the spiritual realm.
Now they see you. The other one man call us or what? I know they see that one because I don't know him. Anybody who no show me himself, Me, I know they talk about. I know they talk to people when we get the name and the face. And this is hungry Holy Ghost to social media army come out. We are going to listen to him because now this man says something that you are going to. We must use to ask him a question. Listen to Holy Ghost.
You accept the total thing, destruction and total war. You are ready to face anything that the zoo is going to bring. You are ready to combat both on the sea, on the land, and on the air. It simply means you are fully prepared to resist any amount of force or forces the zoo, Nigeria terrorist group, is going to bring to the land of Biafra. That network cannot stop us. Now let me educate you again. For those of you who does not know what is going on, the redeclaration of Biafra simply means you accept the total thing, destruction and total war. You are ready to face anything. The mindset of the citizen of Biafra to Nigeria forces are busy trooping in day and night, stabilizing.
How can Holy Ghost say that Nigerian government, Nigerian military is trooping in? This man come and sit here, call himself a general army. I don't know whether a general, I don't know whether a commando, I don't know what he be, and I don't care to know. That is the problem. I don't even care to know who this man called Holy Ghost is. The only thing that I know is a blogger in social media. And I face him as a blogger, social media blogger. This man is a general and he want to protect the Biafra land. And every time they do this thing, he's here and telling us, we Biafrans, that Nigerian zoo terrorist military is entering inside our land. They are trooping. As they are trooping, and as this man stay here, they talk trooping. And then the army was supposed to stop those Nigerian military to not trooping in our land. This man said that he sacrifice and we pay him money to stop those trooping military. Because as they talk about money, in they touch the money. If you know they touch him, you know go come out and talk, whining, contribute now, mixing everything every day. This man sit here as him be army where go save us from these Fulani people. He is here telling us they are trooping, and he see them trooping. Or either instead for him to go and stop them with his boys, instead for him to go and stop them not trooping. You know, this guy, if I well. If you look in your face and the nose will big past the face. The only thing where I get from his body, this man, you find make una tell her. I want you people to wake Holy Ghost up. Let me send him a link. Let me send a link to Holy Ghost. Because I would like to him to join this program. So make you know say me, I know they fear him. Oh. I know they fear anybody. Oh. I respect people. Ebe kono. Voilà. Holy Ghost, fire. Make una dey hear wetin this man they talk.
Network cannot stop us.
Never.
Now let me educate you again. For those of you who does not know what is going on, the redeclaration of Biafra simply means you accept the total thing, destruction and total war. You are ready to face anything that the zoo is going to bring. You are ready to combat both on the sea, or on the land, and on the air. It simply means you are fully prepared to resist any amount of force or forces the zoo, Nigeria terrorist group, is going to bring to the land of Biafra. That is the meaning of declaration. Some of you do not know what this declaration or redeclaration mean.
Isaac. Okay, Isaac. Okay. Now English. Let me call you Isaac. French. And Isaac. Let me tell you something. I'm not here to debunk anything, everything where somebody talk. I'm not here to debunk. If person they talk, say something, use something to give example, you want me to come and debunk example. Our CEO has said that she is that is what they want me to come and debunk. That she's waiting social club of Nigeria, where? Yeah, social club of Nigeria. They want me to come and debunk it. But the time when our COS said that, say it, why did you enter and ask her a question in that moment? What did she mean? Somebody give you, say that she is a member of our COS, say that she is a member of Social Club of Nigeria. You want me to come and debunk? Waiting. What do you want me to debunk inside? You want me to debunk that our COS is not a member of the Social Club of Nigeria? Or you want me to ask her, why are you a member of the Social Club of Nigeria? You see, you people. You see, you people. As you people, una fugo kunu sieme, can you go do Igbo we so asosundibwo? Because I even present. Let me tell you something. When you go, we are not ije buy keta ije Biafra land. Now, kerebi ya land. Kedi flight iye jina. Kedi airport iye land. Iye land na Nigeria airport. Monetara Mohammed. Nigeria International Airport. Ebi ya land. Now urukwana in outside the country. And everything you people na buy and na Biafra land today. Ebe ko Serbia from that Nigeria. Rice si Nigeria abia. beans si Nigeria abịa, ose si Nigeria abịa, everything si Nigeria abata. Ndị amị na-abịa egbu unu na bai ka ebeba si abịa Nigeria. Ego unu na-eri today kedu onye esere na ya? Ndị Nigeria ka esere na ya, and all Nigerian money ka unu ka na-eri today. And you never understand. You never understand even one ekwu.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.